What's cracking, everybody? Today we're going to take a look inside my LRG 1947 part. It's terrible outside right now. We got a lot of snow on the ground. We got hit with that storm on Sunday. I didn't want to get another yard video up for you guys that quickly. I feel like we've really been banging out those yard videos, and I love skating that place, but I feel like a break from those videos could be a good thing. So I felt like it'd be a good time to kind of dive into this part. LRG was a big part of my career, and there was a lot going on in my life at the time of filming this video as well. So we filmed for this video from like 2012-ish till 2015 is when the video premiered. Video was mostly filmed by Kyle Camarillo and my homie Ian Berry. And like I said, there was a lot going on in my life at the time. I had my first daughter in 2012, and then by the time the video was wrapping up, I was expecting my second daughter in 2015. So I was a busy man on that front. And then also sponsors wise, I had left Fallen, I had left Mystery. I was kind of wandering around, skating a lot of Rain skate shop boards and just kind of skating DCs, Nikes, random stuff throughout this video part. And then eventually S came into the mix. Santa Cruz came into the mix. A lot of changes going on in this video part, not only like as a person, but also throughout like my sponsors and stuff like that as well. For this video, we traveled all over the world, man. We went to a couple different cities in Spain, China, Taiwan, Cyprus. I ended up getting hurt on that trip, so I was only there for like 2 days and then flew home, unfortunately, and more. I mean, we went other places. I'm sure I'll call it out as the video goes on, but I feel like LRG had such a cool thing with this video. I mean, we had such a cool squad. I feel like we all were pretty tight knit just because of how much we were traveling together. Like we really were all homies, and it just was a good vibe. Like every time you got in the van, no matter who was on that trip, like it was a good time, you know? But with that being said, let's dive on in here. All right, so I'm not going to have the sound playing. Obviously, can't really play the songs that I skated to, but if you know, you know. I realized after filming this whole entire video that I never turned my face cam on. So you're just going to get the narration, try to incorporate images from the tricks I was trying, anything extra from our travels to kind of keep things interesting. So let me know what you think of this, and hope you guys enjoy. Nollie flip down. The classic nollie heel flip crooks. Dude, look how insane this spot was, though. Look at the crowd at this place. It's like a demo, but we're just skating a spot on the street. That was how China used to be. Like, it wasn't so much like this past time when I went with Santa Cruz. It seems like the culture has understood skateboarding a little more, has maybe seen it a little more. But back then, like I said, 2012-ish, it's like they never saw a skateboard before. The people just crowd around, watch you, and it's kind of a cool vibe, but you're scared to like hurt people or like, all right, am I going to get in trouble? Or are we going to get kicked out now because we drew this huge crowd here? Luckily, it all works out. China's always been easy to skate as well, but this spot was unreal. Like perfect stair set to perfect handrail. Carlos Ribeiro, and this is our driver. I don't know what his actual name was. Everybody called him Papa. So he drove the van to every single skate spot. He was the man. Backsmith fakie. Oh, whoa. So, yeah, I'm skating a Rain skateboard here, and I'm pretty sure this ended up being my Welcome to Santa Cruz ad in whatever magazines, Thrasher, Transworld, whatever at the time. There are also Mike Mo's that I'm skating there, the Mike Mo DCs. Skated a lot of pairs of those, but then eventually the heel started coming off the shoe, like every single time, so I stopped skating those. I liked them as they lasted. This is a rail up in Fresno. I think it was an LRG trip we were doing up there and just skating through, but good little rail. But yeah, it's funny. Philly spot, classic Philly spot. Years later, I actually went back with Santa Cruz, and on the opposite side of this, I did switch heel flip backtail, which was a photo for something. I don't know if we used it actually, but I remember the photo looked cool. This spot was always sick. I think it's gone now, unfortunately. They like redid the whole park, kind of demolished all these little out ledges they had there. But that's a classic Philly spot. I remember it being so cold this day. And it was one of those days where we wanted to get out and skate, but we didn't know where to skate. And a lot of times that would lead us to just go right over the bridge to Trenton, New Jersey. It's like 10, 15 minutes away from here. Just mess around. And that's how we ended up getting this clip, which ended up turning out pretty cool. We usually would always skate the spot the opposite way. We would ollie up the curb and then skate this as like a out rail to little drop. The first time I ever went up it, and randomly, I don't know what I was thinking with this combo, but it worked out. I always liked that I had the Flyers hoodie on there. And again, another clip in the Mike Mo's. So this spot is in China. I'm pretty sure it's Shanghai. That is definitely the longest switch heel bag nose grind 180 I've ever done in my life. I don't think I've ever grinded one that long since this day. That marble grinded so damn good that like I just treated it like a switch heel flip nose manual. And the way that my body rotates after grinding for a certain amount of time, like the 180 out, just almost works. I think I'm skating in S's at this point. Yeah, those are Excel Slims, I'm pretty sure. But then this is another trip. This might be Taiwan, actually. I forget. But these are Fallen and Mystery. So this is an older clip. Fakie 5-0, fakie flip. More China footy. Big spin back tail, biggie out. First time I ever did that trick for sure. Oh my God, this line. This line was so much harder than it probably looks. All right, so a little fun fact about this line here, which I'll get to again, I guess, later on in the clip, because there's another trick that kind of led up to this. Before we went to this spot, I was trying to skate down this 4 block, slammed hard as shit, trying to trick forever. Couldn't land. I think I eventually landed it, but I was like, dude, I'm done for the day. I might be done for tomorrow, maybe even the next day. Like, I'm going to be so damn sore. And then we end up at this spot, like the next spot. I'm like, dude, I can't not skate this perfect marble ledge plaza. Like, I can't do it. And I just remember being so sore, so tired, and just giving it my all to try and get this line. And I think that's why it leads to, oh, they don't put the reaction in. Me and the homie like freaked out after I landed it because I didn't know if I was going to have the legs to even be able to do it. It must have been in a separate clip where we like get all stoked. This spot. So this spot is up in Jersey. It's like on the border. It's like New York, Jersey. It's up there. We found this spot, I'm pretty sure through like Google Maps or something, and just drove 2 hours up there and starts snowing. So I don't know if you could tell in the clip, especially this quality is like 720. It was flurrying in this clip, and I'm like, dude, we drove 2 hours here. It's starting to snow. Like, I have to get something on this thing. And at the time, I wasn't even that good at front shove nose grinds, but it was so short that I'm like, if I can front shove and kind of just get the nose on there one time, like, we might be good to go. Ended up working out. In this video, I seem to be rocking a blue hat and blue shoes quite a bit, which is interesting. A little Muni action. I was never really the biggest fan of this clip just because of how slow I ended up landing. But that's cool. Switch front big, random double set in China. This line I was actually really stoked on at the time because I had just started doing fakie front crook to fakie manis. I never did the flip out before. And I thought this would be the sickest clip with the skyline of New York in the back. And this is on the Jersey side, obviously. I don't know. It worked out exactly how I thought it was going to work out in my head. So Nike footage, dude. Clipping Nikes, the custom ones. They're the only Nikes I really liked. The front crook popover. This was actually really, really scary. I don't know why, because it's such a short popover that I really just had to lean my weight over. But, you know, I was just freaking out thinking I was going to flip out toe side and land on my rib cage on the rail. But luckily, it never ended up happening. But this spot's a little crusty. Cool to get a clip there. It's in like North Philly, kind of by Temple and stuff like that. But crusty old front crook popover. More China. I was stoked to go to this spot because this is the spot I always saw on like Lakai fully flared, you know, Alex Olson's line, and everyone has clips there. So I thought these people were going to get in my way, but I was able to squeeze on through. And look, she kind of hooked it up too. She was like, oh, he's coming. I like when lines work out like this, though. Like, for some reason, I don't know what it is. Let me know if you guys feel the same way about stuff like this in the comments. But when there is someone in the way, or like, you know, you kind of have to squeak through and still give it your all, it makes you try like a little bit harder. You're like, dude, this one would be sick if I got this clip, right? Like, if there's a person there and I still landed or whatever. So like right here in this moment, I was trying harder than I probably did the try before because I wanted to get this one so bad. I think it might be one of the first switch flip backtail big spins I ever filmed as well. I wasn't that good at the trick at the time. And that's what's cool about going back to clips like this, because I look at this line now, not that I think it'd be easy, but I remember like stressing on this line, like, I don't know if I'm going to get it, you know? And now it's like, no, if I get an hour at the spot, like if I don't land this line within an hour, like I'm blowing it, you know, because I can do both these tricks a lot better than I could at this time in my life, even though this was 10 years ago or whatever it was, you know, more than that actually. Switch ollie in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. We randomly just stumbled upon this spot. It was a cool, crusty, sketchy little switch ollie, dude. And not little, really, but not really something I usually do, you know? Nollie hard. I think this is, nah, I've done nollie hard flips down stuff before that, but this was definitely the biggest nollie hard flip I've done at the time. I died trying this trick too. I had just gotten Santa Cruz boards. This is my first box from Santa Cruz. I got like a week before going on this trip, and I remember going to X Park trying to get used to the boards because the nose and tail were so much steeper than the mysteries I was skating at the time. And I remember popping nollie was rough. Like, I was struggling with all my nollie tricks. But anyway, I was trying this nollie hard flip and I died one time. Fully just thought I was going to snap my nose, pop for the nollie hard flip, but I didn't pop because the nose is so steep. I like whiffed my pop. The board just does like a 360 hard flip, and I don't know where the board is. I end up landing back on the board, fully slip out and hit my head. Sketchy. Big spin back tail, the front shove, the blue shoes and the blue hat again. I just like any line you can get at this spot at UPenn because it's such a quick kick out that every single time you try a trick here, you just are going and going and going because you know every single try can be your last try. Or you got to do the run around. But then if they catch you again, like you're going to get a ticket. That's the type of place that UPenn is, or at least it used to be back then. Anytime you get away with a line here, it's awesome. Always one of my favorite ledge spots in Philly too. Switch heel. That was at the kick out. I remember skating this spot. A couple of us were skating it. I forget what. I feel like Carlos was trying something over it. Maybe Miles was trying something over it too. I just remember being like, dude, I'm going again. Like this dude's pissed, but like it's a switch heel. I know I can do it. Like right here. Ended up getting it. He was not happy. I think this is LA. Like a lot of people skate this spot, but kind of a random one for me. But nose blunt in the line. I'll take it. Madrid. I think this is Madrid. Yeah, this is Madrid, the kickflip front grind. Such a weird rail because it's like a hubba, but it's almost like back in the day how they used to make boxes with like round coping on it. That's what this was, but it was all wood. So it was like a wooden round coping, but your wheels could also hang over the top of it because it was a hubba. It was strange, but it was perfect for kickflip front grind, except you didn't have much ride away. You kind of slam right into the grass there. Trenton kicky back tail. I always like the clip here, the way that this rail looks on film, just because it's got a kink and it's a little different. It's kind of corner pocketed, a little weird. I always like the way the kickflip back tail looked. It ended up being a Ricta ad or maybe like an FKD Bearings ad or something back in the day. We used the photo for something. Photo looked cool. RIP this ledge spot. This thing's right at like Penn's Landing-ish. I think it's gone now. I don't know. I went there maybe a year or two ago just to look at the rail because I was in the area. The ground is so, or at least it was at the time. I don't know if they fixed it or if the rail's even still there or not, but the ride up where you pop for this was already garbage and it's so bad now. So I'm glad I got a clip in when I did back then. This was scary because it's gap in and then you're going fast when you hit this second kink at the bottom. It kind of shoots you off, you know? So that was a big adjustment trying this. And I knew that if I didn't get over it, I was probably going to sack it or something, which would not have been fun. Glad that didn't happen. This was definitely the time, the blue shoes, the blue hat is when I wouldn't say I was like officially on S, but I was involved with S. I was doing more like stuff for the campaigns they were working on. I remember sending this clip to Kelly and Don to use for something. Those shoes were also Blue Ice or something they were called. And they flew me out to California to do this shoot with them to skate ice blocks for this colorway of shoes. And that was like the first real thing I did with S, or the first real photo shoot I was on. So yeah, this is like right at the time that S was kind of starting to fuck with me a little bit. Ollie backside overcrook. Back then, I used to definitely skate a lot more rails, but this one was up against the wall like that. I think I did it twice, actually, because Kyle wanted to film it. I think he filmed it from the opposite side of the rail, and then he wanted to film it from in the cut of like between the wall and the rail, which definitely ended up looking better. If I'm not wrong, though, I'm pretty sure it was years later, but I think Miles Silva's nollie back nose blunted this, which I don't know how he must have been up in that nose blunt. I feel like I remember seeing the clip like years later after I did this that he did nollie back nose blunt. I was like, damn, sick one to do that on. Switch heels. I was never like the biggest fan on how I did this just because it was a little bit rocket, you know, if I'm going to be honest. Another clip in the Costin Nikes. I think this was out in like Lancaster somewhere. A lot of times I would skate these spots because we drove so far to get there. And I'm like, I'm not going home without something. I'm going to at least try, you know, but this was a good bump to bar. I wonder if it's still there. Definitely the only bump to bar I ever switch heeled. Kickflip back overcrook. This is in like San Jose or something, or up in that area. I was stoked on this one. I don't think I ever even done one at the time, or maybe on a flat bar. This rail was tall and short, and I was like, it'd be good to kickflip up into to the nose. Like sometimes just the way that spots represent themselves to me, or like the way that I see certain tricks working on certain spots, that's how I figure out what to do on it. And that's kind of how this was. It did have short ride up though. So I would like throw down and try to set up my feet real quick, which was the biggest pain in the ass for this trick. I always did like how it was filmed. I like that I was in it like all the way too. Sometimes you can get those overcrooks that they don't really pinch too well, but that one, I liked it. It's a throwback spot because I went here years before this where in my mystery color theory part, and I did half cab over and then varial heel flip. And this one I did nollie 180 over and a switch flip. Spot was in Taiwan. These ledges were kind of tall, to be honest. The Costin inspo on the combo clip. Nose grind pop out. I think it was a photo for an article that we did for Thrasher or something like that, or maybe Trans World. I don't know. We did an LRG article, and that was definitely ran as a photo in one of them. I think my board got ran over too by one of the motorcycles. I think I flipped over it one time, and my board went in the street.
Tom's board shoots out. Dude, it went under one of his wheels. It was really sketchy. We thought he was just going to get taken out. But the fear in his eyes was what was amazing.
Always liked that one. Kickflip front Phoebe. I was never the biggest fan of this kickflip front Phoebe just because, again, the one that I had in my color theory part before this was bigger and like better than this one, I feel like, but whatever, you know. Another Taiwan spot, this little hubba. This was a battle, dude. This battle was real. See the ride up here? You got to carve around, and then right as you carve around, then you see the hubba. So you don't know like where you're lined up, if you're in the right spot to pop. The trick starts like right as you come around this corner. And then it was kind of a steep hubba. So by the time I would big spin in, like, look how low I get into it. Oh well. Like, look, I'm not even in it yet. Like, so you're in it so quick, and then you got to fall right to the ground. And those bricks robbed me probably like 20 times. I'm not going to lie. I remember sticking a billion of these things and just eating. But that one I got away with. Luckily. Down in Tijuana. This was a cool spot. This was in Seattle or something, or Portland, or somewhere like Northwest in this lumber yard, I think. And it's such a unique rail. Comes off the loading dock, gap to it, but it kind of sticks out far. Like, it's one of those spots you look at and you're like, why is it made like that? And at the time, I was skating a lot of street leagues and stuff. And I remember being pretty on point with my kickflip back lips. So that's probably why I felt good about this one. Because I look at this now and that's scary. I wouldn't want to do that now. Push my balls off to a V heel in the Nikes. I think it was Madrid, which I think this ended up being the back cover of the, or maybe the inside cover of the DVD. It was also an LRG ad for 1947. I think Jack Switchback Smith this rail that day too. Got a lot of clips here that day. This was the first handrail that I've ever fakie front crooked. Passaic, New Jersey, I think this rail is. I wonder if it's still there. If it's still there, it's got to be hurting because it was hurting back then. The ground was rugged. The rail was like broken. You could see it wobble as I like flip out of it. They reminded me like Kirchart. I remember Kirchart doing a backside flip on a handrail. And I feel like it slightly reminded me of that, or I was like inspired by that to do this. But yeah, almost tight. Switch front Phoebes. This was like right at the time of learning this trick. And I really thought I was going to clip these stairs, but I guess everyone kept telling me, dude, just skate the rail. You're not going to clip the stairs. The way it drops you off of it, you'll clear the stairs. I was like, okay. And got the switch front Phoebe. This rail was kind of a pain in the ass to skate. I'm not going to lie. You probably can't tell. Right here, the ride up is all uphill. You had to like overcompensate your speed to make sure you still had speed by the time you got to the rail. And this was another spot that kind of spoke to the trick that I did on it. Right here, there's a crack in the rail, which you'd probably get in past that anyway, to be real. But I was like, oh, since it's a gap to rail and it's like fat, I wonder if I can pretend like I'm kickflipping out to it and then get on like a normal nose grind I would on like a ledge or something. That's kind of what the thought that was going on in my head, because I've never done a kickflip front nose grind on a handrail before this. Maybe at like a skate park. Nothing like this. Yeah, it worked out. I remember that was definitely a battle too, though, just because of the speed. I remember riding up a bunch of times and having to jump off my board. Nollie heel flip backside over crook. Funny story about this one is I went there with a whole nother trick in mind. I knew the rail that we were going to because it was kind of skated a lot, known as like a tech little rail or whatever. In my head, I wanted to switch heel frontside feeble it, and I tried for probably a good amount of time trying to switch heel front feeble, and I just got into like a million switch heel front boards, and I could not lock in to switch heel front feeble. At the time, I could switch heel front feeble. I was doing them on flat bars quite a bit at the skate park, but since it wasn't working, I was like, all right, I got to think of something else. This rail's too perfect. Like, what do I do? I always felt confident in my nollie heel flips. I don't think I've ever nollie heel back over crook though, ever, as far as I can remember. And I remember trying to just fling these out and like poking them on because I could nollie heel back nose grind ledges. And I'm like, well, it's just kind of the same thing. Or it's like kind of like when I do nollie heel heel back nose grind 180 and I over rotate was kind of where my head was at with that. And I just started poking them in and the rail was nice enough to let me have it. This switchback heel, this is where I noticed the Mike Mo shoe issue happening. I got done trying this switchback heel, which it does kind of land downhill. So there's a lot of like impact that as I was landing backside that it would kind of put a lot of pressure on my shoes, like the heels of my shoe, which I get, but I also don't think they should have ripped off. After I got done trying the switchback heel, I looked at the back heel of my shoe and it was fully separating from the upper of the shoe. It was bad. I didn't notice while I was trying it, which is good, or it probably would have got in my head. Camden ledges. I was hyped on this one though. It kind of reminded me of like a Cali schoolyard line because they had the table there, which happened to be broken. So it was kind of like on an uphill slant, although it was wooden table. So grinded like crap, but got through that. And then the nollie heel front nose, nollie heel out. I think this is the first time I've ever done that trick as well. Switch front heel over the bump to bar. This thing was a battle. Also, I didn't know this was going on at the time with the kid riding the bike. I had no idea that was a thing until after I landed. And they're like, dude, you got the one with the kid doing the wheelie. I was like, okay, I had no idea what they were talking about. But the clip turned out so sick. This thing was a battle. And I think we had to go back to it a few times, or it was like, yo, we're going to go to this bump to bar to try that switch front heel. And I was like, fuck. It was kind of like a dreaded trick because I knew it was so hard for me to do at the time, but it's just the spot. Like the bump's not that much of a bump. The ground riding up to it that you throw down on is so rugged, so bad. It's just a hard spot to skate. I'm stoked I got it because I do love that clip. The nollie heel front nose. This is up in like San Jose or something, or Sacramento. I don't know, somewhere up there. But look at that. I like pinched. I think I talked about this in another video. But I kind of did a 1A nose grind if you want to be real with it. Nollie back heel nose grind back out to regs. Not trying that at all. My truck just happened to like bounce up in there. But yeah, I was stoked on that. I didn't know that even happened until afterwards. Someone told me about it. Little Taiwan rail, nollie flip back tail. And then we get to the nollie heel back nose blunt. Which I think is the only clip. It's funny that this is the only clip with my pro board. I do think it was around the time of the premiere though for LRG video. I did it. I remember sending it to Kyle Camarillo and the dudes, and Kyle responded separately in our group chat, I think to get everyone else fired up. Tom got his ender today. And I was like, I did? Like, I knew that this was a good one, but like, I didn't plan for that. Like, I didn't plan for it to be my ender, but the way he sent it to the group chat, like Tom got his ender today, I was like, oh shit, I got my ender today. Like, I didn't even think about it. I thought that was cool. It was like really, it was like a good moment of like relief, I guess. Not relief, but like I felt good about like, damn, I think my part's done then, you know? Like, cause you always have that thought of like, what else can I do? So yeah, it must have been really close to the premiere. My boards must have just came out. I'll tell this story, but I think I've told it before. I remember going to the beach on vacation with my family in Jersey Shore. We're down there for like a week. So I'm kind of itching to skate. I remember sitting on the beach and I'm brainstorming tricks. And I'm like, nollie heel back nose once. That's cool. I wonder if I could do it on a rail. Where would I try it though? I don't know how to just throw that out there on a rail. Like what skate park in North Jersey pops in my head. Elizabeth skate park in New Jersey. I'm like, they have a little rail there. Maybe I can just go there one day and try it, you know? And Shane talked about this in one of the recent On the Session videos. I think it was the one where we're in Jersey, New Brunswick. And he's talking about how he showed up to the skate park one day and I was just trying nollie heel back nose once on the rail by myself at the park because that's the only rail I could think that I could even try it on. The next day after I got home from that vacation at the beach, I went right up to that skate park and tried a nollie heel back nose once on the rail. I don't think I ever even landed one though, but I got into it, which gave me like the confidence to be like, well, that's half the battle. Like just getting into it gives me the confidence that I know I can do it if I'm leaned over it right or whatever. This rail popped in my head. It's the only rail that I thought I'd be able to do it on or that it would work on. And I had to do two of them actually. I did two nollie heel back nose once. This was obviously the second one. If I could find the first one, I'll try to put it in here. But the first one I locked in like really over crooky. And then I came out of it and my arms were flailing all over the place. It just wasn't clean. And this one I landed and gave like the relief off the curb. Like, oh, I got it. That was a look inside my LRG 1947 part. Shortly after that, we went out to LA for the premiere, and I was nervous about even going to the premiere because it was right around the time of the due date for my second daughter. So I was like, flew out there for the day of the premiere and flew back home because it was risky business, dude. I didn't want to miss the birth of my baby. And I think that LRG as a whole went on kind of like a tour to premiere the video, and I was only able to go to a couple stops, and I met them at Philly just because of being right around the baby's due date and stuff like that. I couldn't be traveling all over the place. But this video premiered October 2015, and then shortly after that, in January, they started to scale back the skate program. They gave us all pay cuts across the board. All the skaters got cut a little bit. Then they continued to go on for one more year into like 2016, 2017. After that, that's when they canned the whole skate program, which was unfortunate, man. I did love LRG, and I don't know if they're still involved in skating. I know they hook up Chico, Carl, and Kelly with stuff, but I don't know the extent that they're trying to get back into skateboarding, but I do think that would be sick. Always had a lot of love for LRG, and always had a lot of love for how they treated me, like not having sponsors through a lot of this. Like they really held it down for me, paid for a lot of my travel, paid for a lot of my street league stuff, hotels, and flights. Yeah, I definitely put a lot on them during the time where I didn't have a lot of sponsors. So I mean, I always shout them out for that. They kept it real as hell. Shout out Tyrone Romero. He was a TM at the time. He held it down for me pretty tough. But luckily, shortly after, I was able to make things happen with S and Santa Cruz, and we got back on track. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace, yo.